You are your emotional state. Part two. I was just pondering how a man, a woman, but a person can be very adept at running their business. They can be very uh, financially intelligent, professionally intelligent, socially intelligent. There's people who can walk into a room of 200 people and work that room like nobody's business. Go through that crowd, introduce themselves, say hi to everybody in that room, that big ballroom, 200 people, some event, and they need some, like, your politicians will be able to do this, especially the most successful politicians. You can put that word in quotes if you like. They can work that room like nobody's business. So somebody could be very astute at a financial level, a social level, but that exact same person might be quite ignorant when it comes to their own emotions. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is something that I would like to really be emotionally intelligent. I would like to be very aware of the emotions that course through me in the scope of a day. If I'm not, it's easy to see how I could get into a lot of trouble. If I'm not aware that the lower emotions cause pain, while the higher emotions are much more pleasing, you know, we'll get into the exact order. I better get that going too. But the higher emotions are pleasing. Doesn't that right there tell you that nature herself said, I don't want you to be unhappy. I don't want you to suffer. I want you to be happy. And if you're angry, that's suffering. That's not regaining control. Have you ever seen someone get angry and then you kind of let things settle and you realized that man or that woman is so insecure, they had to get angry to try to regain, from their perspective, a sense of control. When you see somebody who's angry, you're looking at someone who wants to control an environment or a situation or other people. And that's why they get angry. They don't get angry. The anger springs forth. The anger is already in them. Like a I don't well like spring loaded. That anger is in them and it's ready to go. Like dynamite. It's right there. It just takes one person sometimes saying something that they find offensive, they can't control, and they'll go off. And you've seen it, I've seen it, and it's not pleasant. So again, I would like to become very, very adept at seeing emotions as they enter, because those emotions do color, influence my day and my life, right? And if we know for a fact that the lower emotions cause us pain, I mean, it makes sense that, okay, I don't want to live from the lower emotions. I want to live from the higher emotions. So let's get into here as we start part 2 of our series. You are your emotional state. You are your emotional level. So what are they? The lowest emotion that any human being on the planet can experience is the emotion of shame. If anyone has ever said something to you and you felt shame, that means that that person brought up something from your past, something that he or she knew about your past, about something you did. Maybe you stole a cookie out of grandma's cookie jar, and maybe you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. And then at another social gathering, that person brought up that incident in front of everybody else and said, remember the time when you fill in the blank? That person was trying to shame you. And you know why that person was trying to shame you? That person was trying to shame you because that person exists on the level of shame. That person communicated shame because that person exists on the level of shame. And as you are going to see pretty quickly here, that's an extremely low level to be on. Here's the list I'm going to be reading off. Shame is an incredibly, it's the lowest emotion that any human being can experience is shame. That's why it hurts so much. It hurts to be shamed. It hurts me to be reminded of some shameful thing that I did in the past. And in reality, just hang on because we're going to be getting into this too. But in reality, you didn't even do that shameful thing because there's no you there to have done that act. The incident, it happened, it occurred, but there was no you there to do that. Darkness may have done that, but you didn't do it. The essential you did not do that act. The higher you was no way involved in that act at all. And that's what guilt is just like shame. Guilt is saying you're guilty because you did that, but in reality, you didn't do that because you don't even exist. Not as you think you do. You think you are your driver's license. Here's mine. You think you technical difficulties, please stand by. You think you are your driver's license, whatever. Here's mine. That's not me. This is just a convenience. This is a way of identifying to the powers that be what this physical body is. But this is not me at all. This does not describe the essential me. This has nothing to do with your spirit, with your essence, with the real part of you. I told you this is going to be a fascinating study. I told you I was not kidding around. And I will not kid around. I mean, we'll have fun and we'll joke, but this is serious business because we're trying to save your soul. We're trying to get you a soul. I'm trying to get me a soul so we can do that together. But hey, anybody who can't hear this, they don't have ears to hear, they don't have eyes to see, we don't need them. If there's anybody, there's gonna be somebody out there who this strikes a chord with, and your first instinct is gonna be to show somebody, to say, hey, look what I found, and to show them one of these videos, to get them involved, to show them a book off the website that's in the description. That's your first instinct. I know because that's what I did. And I did it, so I know you're going to do it. And I couldn't help myself. I went and told the world that I had found this. And you should have seen the looks on people's faces. They were like, what have you been smoking? I was happy because I had found something, and I had stumbled onto something. Like, you ever been walking down a sidewalk and the concrete is uplifted and you, boom, you fall flat on your face? That's how I found truth. Exact same way, just like that. I was in tremendous, crushing pain, incredible pain. And I was 32 years old. I was young. And I was like, I'm doing everything that this world told me to do. I got educated. I'm working my tail off. I'm working my fingers to the bone. I'm saving money. I bought a new truck. I'm dressing the way I'm supposed to dress. I'm working. I'm polite. I'm friendly. I'm outgoing. How come I'm not happy? I was in crushing psychological and emotional pain, crushing pain, because I was stuck on a low level, and I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And truth came in and said, "That's enough. That's enough. I'm going to pick you up, dust you off, and show you a better way." And truth itself mandates that I do the exact same thing, that I try to reach out and find somebody else, because water goes to water. Truth goes to truth. Light goes to light. There's enough darkness and negativity and cruelty and viciousness in this world without me or you adding to it. This world has been described as dripping with evil, and that's not too far off the mark. That's pretty much what it is. And the world is dripping with evil because human beings are dripping with evil. And one of the reasons we drip with evil is because we don't know where we are. We don't know what we're doing. We're lost. On a psychological, emotional level, we're lost. People are out in the streets. This has been in the news. They're out there marching around with signs. Can you imagine you're home and you're putting together a bunch of signs, and you're going to go out in the street and march around and hold your sign and shout to your horse, shout till you can't speak anymore, or get a bullhorn and speak through a bullhorn. You're lost. L-O-S-T. If you were found, you'd have nothing to do with any of that. If you knew what to do with yourself, you wouldn't have anything to do with any of that. You'd see how stupid that is. You'd see how dangerous it is to associate with other human beings, because you would know their level. And you would know their level because you would first know your level. And you would know how dangerous, how violent, how vicious you are, because that's where it starts. You would understand your own lostness, how lost you are. And you'd say, you know what? I better get cracking. I better get busy. I don't want to be lost anymore. I want to be found, right? Come out from among them. If you want to be among them, you can, but you'll suffer their fate. You'll fall off the cliff just like all of them. That's it. This is your chance. This is it. So avail yourself. So the emotions, shame is they shamed you because that's their level. So if you're smart, you'll say, that person that made that tried to shame me, we were at that social gathering and they said something in front of everybody else trying to shame me. Why? Because that person, I didn't know it before, but I know it now. That person lives on the level of shame. because they communicate what they are. You communicate your level. I communicate my level. I radiate what I am. You radiate what you are. The Christ, when he came, he radiated what he was. And that's why he was loved. Like there were not everybody, very few. The people who could see and hear were like, oh my God, who is this man? He speaks with such authority. He everything about him is strong. He has strength. He is the light. He's illuminated. And we're going to get into that because illumination is the highest level. It's the highest emotional level you, me, anyone can attain, is the state of illumination. That's what Christ had. That's what made him so attractive to people. And that's also what terrified a lot of other people, including the powers that be. We can't have this illuminated man walking around. He's bad for business. He's going to take our position from us. We can't allow that. And so, like we said before, a couple of talks ago, the powers that be conspired, just like they do today, exact same thing, nothing's changed. Human nature has not changed, and it's not going to change until you wake up. You can wake up. I can wake up. You decide to wake up, your nature will change. Self-observation is how you change your nature. We can't have that man walking around. He's bad for business. The people they'll all follow him. And because he sees through us, he sees that we are a bunch of phonies, fakes, frauds, charlatans. He knows we're not the real thing. He knows that. He's going to tell them, and pretty soon, us powers that be, we're out of a job. So they conspired to the leaders. The leaders of the temple of the day were not the social leaders. The societal leaders were the Romans. And they knew Pontius Pilate. They went to him. They said, look, this guy's giving us trouble. Judas comes in, here for 20 pieces of silver. I will betray him. The one I kiss is he. The Roman soldiers went to the garden, where Christ and his followers assembled all the time. That was very pleasing to them. The Mount of Olives. I'm not the scholar. I know the basics. The one I kiss is he, because how are they going to know which one is the Christ? They're not going to know. They would have to be there for a while and observe, and then they'd finally see, oh yeah, it's that one. But they didn't have all the time in the world. So the man said, the one I kiss is he. Judas, the one I kiss is he. Kissed him, marked him, targeted him. That's him. They arrest him. They bring him back, put him. His little trial was before Pontius Pilate. I wash my hands of thee. What is truth? Christ didn't answer. Why did he not answer? Because why would he waste his breath? He knew Pontius Pilate would not be able to hear what he was saying anyway. Plus, the Christ knew. He knew himself so clearly by way of moment-to-moment impartial self-observation. The Christ meditated for his entire life. He learned how to do it. He learned to self-study. Okay, he knew that. And that's what he told people to do. My time is short. I don't have a lot of time to get this out because they're going to come get me. He knew it. He knew all this was happening. He knew he'd be arrested. He knew he'd have a mock trial. He knew the people who set him up, the powers that be. I mean, that's obvious to a blind man. arrested him. Then what they do? They started torturing him, treated him like a common criminal, exchanged positions. We need somebody else who's Barnabas, whatever. They traded position. They tortured this man something fierce, horrible. Okay, and what is that? That's human nature. That existed then, it exists now because they're animals. You can't spend extended periods of time with other human beings because they will drain you, because they're animals. They will harm you. This is why you have to get out. Christ said, come out from among them. You have to find the emotional level of courage. Courage, we'll get through these emotional states at some point. It's going to be next talk. This is part 2. But courage, at some point, you're going to have to find it, because courage is the fulcrum, the middle point. Courage is the starting point of leaving all the dark lower emotions that cause us all the pain there is behind. Courage. You and I don't have any courage. You don't have any courage, but you're going to have to find it and say, I need the courage to try something new. I need to summon the courage. God, please give me the courage to try this new thing that I've just stumbled upon on YouTube. I've just stumbled upon it. But I feel different when I'm listening to it, when I hear it, when I absorb it, when I avail myself of this. I feel different. I feel clear. I feel clear-minded. This is different. This is nothing like I've ever experienced before. We gotta get into emotions. We gotta continue. You are your emotional state, and we will continue this with part 3 next time.